You ever walked into a room and didn't hear a word, but felt everything? That's energy. And let me tell you something, energy never lies. But people, oh, they lie. Their words, their smiles, their labels. That's perception and it can fool you. But the truth is always vibrating in the energy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you real for a moment. We live in a world where people dress things up to look a certain way, where filters hide flaws, where words are crafted to deceive, and where masks are worn more than honesty is shown. But there's one thing you can't fake: energy. Your energy is your truth. It's the vibration you carry before you even speak. You can say all the right things, put on the right clothes, show the perfect smile, but if your energy is off, people feel it. That's why I say energy never lies, perception does. You ever walk into a room and feel something before a single word is spoken? It's like the air shifts, like there's a pulse in the silence. That right there, that's energy. You see, energy is realer than reputation, louder than words, and stronger than appearance. It doesn't need a microphone or a spotlight. It speaks in a language deeper than sound, a language only the soul understands. You can't bottle it, fake it, or rehearse it. It's either aligned or it's off. That's why I say your energy is your signature. It's the first and last impression you make, and it lasts long after you've walked away. You might think your resume defines you. You might believe your outfit tells your story, but people don't connect with your credentials, they connect with your presence. Your energy walks into the room before you do. It's the silent force that says who you are without saying a word. And the crazy part, people remember that energy more than the words you said. They might forget your name, your title, your pitch, but they never forget how your energy made them feel. So while you're worrying about saying the right thing, the room is already reading your spirit. The truth, your presence, introduces you before your mouth even opens. Think about it, we've all met people who were charming, polished, and said all the right things, yet something felt off. That off feeling, that's misaligned energy. It's like drinking from a crystal glass only to taste something bitter. It doesn't matter how pretty the container is, if the contents aren't pure, people will feel it. People might not always be conscious of energy, but they're always impacted by it. And you're either giving energy that invites connection or triggers resistance. Either way, your energy is speaking, so ask yourself, what message is it sending? Energy doesn't just represent you, it reveals you. It exposes your truth, even if your words try to hide it. You can smile all day, wear the best clothes, quote all the right books, but if your spirit is carrying bitterness, insecurity, or fear, it leaks. No matter how good the script is, if the soul behind it isn't solid, people feel the disconnect. That's why the most powerful people in the room aren't always the loudest. They are the ones whose energy is grounded, whole, and undeniable. They don't need to sell themselves, they just are. Their energy does the work for them. This is why mastering your energy is more valuable than memorizing the perfect lines. Words may impress, but energy impacts. Energy transcends status. Energy cuts through titles, cuts through social games, cuts through masks. It's the universal language of truth. You don't need to convince people of who you are. When your energy is aligned, they'll feel it. And when your energy contradicts your message, people feel that too. That's why alignment isn't optional, it's essential. You want to be unforgettable, then be real, be whole, be grounded. That's the kind of energy that walks in the room and shakes the atmosphere. So here's the bottom line. Your energy is either a reflection of your truth or a mask for your wounds. You can choose to live from your essence or your ego. One attracts connection, the other demands attention. One speaks peace, the other performs pain. But no matter what you choose, remember this: people may applaud your words, they may admire your looks, but what they truly remember is your energy, so protect it. Guard it, grow it, because long after you've left the room, your energy is still doing the talking. You ever look at a funhouse mirror, the kind that stretches your face, widens your body, shrinks your head. Now you know that's not what you really look like, but it still throws you off. That's perception. It's a reflection, not a reality. A filter, not a fact. And the thing about filters is, they can blur the truth, twist your story, and convince the world you're something you're not. See, people don't see you as you are. They see you as they are through their wounds, their bias, their fears, their expectations. So if you start living for perception, you'll end up chasing shadows instead of standing in your light. Perception is tricky. It's built on fragments: what people hear, what they think, what they assume, and most dangerously, what they project. One person's version of you might be too much, another might say not enough, and a third might think you're just right, and guess what? None of them are your truth. That's why trying to live up to everyone's version of you is exhausting. It's like trying to hit a moving target in the dark. You lose yourself chasing images others created, and before you know it, you're performing for applause that doesn't even fill your soul. You weren't born to be anyone's perception. You were born to be a force. But here's the trap: when people don't understand you, they reduce you. They shrink your light into something they can manage. They call your confidence arrogance. They label your passion aggression. They define your silence as weakness. But that ain't on you, that's the lens they're looking through. The dirt on their window becomes the stain on your name. And if you don't check it, you'll start internalizing their fog as your identity. That's when the real damage starts. You ever notice how folks love to judge the cover before they open the book? It's easier that way. People see your walk and decide your story. They see your past and assume your future. They hear one rumor, one headline, one mistake, and suddenly they think they know your soul. But perception is lazy. It doesn't ask questions. It just stamps a label and moves on. But you are not a label. You are not a rumor. You are not their quick assumption. You are the pages they didn't bother to read. You are the plot twist they never saw coming. The truth is this: if you live for perception, you'll die by judgment. You'll start curating a life that looks good instead of living one that feels right. You'll smile when you're breaking, post when you're empty, nod when you should speak, and fit in when you were born to stand out. And all for what? To be liked? To be accepted by people who only know the version of you that makes them comfortable? That's not living, that's surviving inside a mask, and eventually that mask gets heavy. So stop measuring your worth by how others perceive you. They don't know the wars you've fought, the healing you've done, the strength it took just to show up. Let them talk, let them guess, let them scroll and scroll and scroll. Because the truth, it's vibrating in your energy, not hiding in their perception. Live in your truth, and the right ones will feel it. The wrong ones will fall away, confused by the light they couldn't define. But that's not your burden, that's their filter. Let them keep it. You keep shining. You can spend your whole life trying to impress people with your talent, your status, your looks, or your words. But the truth is, when the lights fade and the noise quiets down, people won't remember the details. They won't remember your job title, your designer shoes, or your highlight reel. But what they will remember is how you made them feel. That's the stuff that sticks. That's what lives in the cracks of the human heart. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be present. And when you're present, truly present, you leave fingerprints on people's spirit. Think about it. We've all had conversations that didn't last more than 5 minutes, but something about them stayed with us for years. Why? Because there was a feeling attached, a moment of kindness, a spark of connection, a sense of being seen. We've also had long speeches or flawless presentations that faded out of memory the next day because they didn't touch anything real. That's the difference between a performance and a presence. One impresses the mind. The other impacts the soul. And here's where it gets deep. Sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest shifts. A warm smile when you were feeling invisible, a word of encouragement when you were ready to quit.
A person who didn't interrupt you, didn't judge you, just sat with you in your mess. That's power, that's real, that's energy turning into memory. You don't need money or fame to be unforgettable. You just need the courage to care. The guts to be human, the heart to make people feel like they matter. Now flip the coin because it works both ways. Just like people remember warmth, they also remember pain. That one cold stare, that one dismissive tone. That one moment where someone made you feel small. Those scars last too. So don't just be mindful of what you say, be mindful of what you radiate. You could be saying all the right words, but if your energy's cold, if your vibe's impatient, if your soul is shut off, people feel that. You can't fake connection. You either bring light into a room or you cast a shadow. And people don't forget either. And let me tell you something else, this world is starving for realness. Everyone's busy talking, everyone's trying to sell something, prove something, win something, but who's making people feel something? Who's slowing down enough to really look someone in the eyes and say, "Hey, I see you"? That's the rare stuff. That's the legacy. You want to be unforgettable, make people feel seen, make them feel safe, make them feel like they matter. That's worth more than any praise, any trophy, any applause. So here's the truth, plain and raw. You are someone's memory in the making. Every interaction you have, every moment you share, you're building a legacy, whether you realize it or not. So don't just chase success, create significance. Don't just try to be impressive, strive to be impactful. Because long after they forget what you said or what you did, they'll still carry how you made them feel. And that, my friend, is where true power lives.
Let's be real, it's easy to fake it these days. Easy to smile when you're broken. Easy to nod when you disagree. Easy to wear the mask because it's safer than showing the scars. But here's the thing, when you live like that, you're out of alignment. Your words don't match your heart, your actions don't reflect your values, and you start to feel it, that tension inside, that quiet discomfort, like something's always off. That's what happens when you abandon authenticity for approval.
You get applause, maybe, but not peace. Authenticity is alignment. It's when your soul, your speech, your walk, they all move in the same direction. It's when who you are on the inside matches who you are on the outside.
There's no pretending, no polishing, just presence, and you can't buy that kind of clarity. You can't fake that kind of power. When you're authentic, you're in flow, not because everything's perfect, but because everything's real. You don't need a script. You don't need a mask. You just show up and that's enough. See, the world doesn't need more perfect people, it needs more real ones, because realness creates connection, it invites trust. When you're real, people feel safe to be real too. They breathe easier around you, they stop performing, and suddenly there's alignment in the space, not just within you, but around you. That's what authenticity does. It doesn't just heal your life, it elevates the energy of every room you enter. It's contagious in the best way, but being real ain't always easy. It costs. Sometimes it means walking away from crowds that loved your mask but don't know your truth. Sometimes it means speaking up when it's easier to stay quiet. Sometimes it means choosing solitude over fake company. But hear me, what you lose by being real, you never needed, and what you gain by being authentic. Peace, power, alignment, freedom. You stop second guessing, you stop seeking permission, you start living on purpose, not performance. Too many people are exhausted, not because they're doing too much, but because they're being too little of themselves. Hiding your truth drains your soul. You start resenting the role you're playing, the smile you're forcing, the version of you they want that doesn't reflect the one God made. But the moment you return to authenticity, you realign with your power, You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg to belong. You become undeniable just by being you. So stand in your truth, even if it makes some people uncomfortable, even if it makes you the black sheep, even if it's not what they expected, because when your soul is aligned, your steps are blessed. When you're real with yourself, everything else falls into place, maybe not all at once, but piece by piece. And there's nothing more powerful than a person who's fully aligned with who they truly are. No gimmicks, no masks, just truth. That's the kind of energy the world can't ignore and the kind it desperately needs. You ever meet someone who looked perfect on paper, Ivy League degree, sharp suit, said all the right things, but something about them just felt off? You couldn't explain it, but your spirit knew. That's because a resume might tell you what someone has done, but it doesn't tell you who they are. And in a world obsessed with surface, let me be the one to remind you, vibe checks are real, and they matter more than bullet points ever will. You see, the resume might show you credentials, experience, skills, a history of accomplishments, but energy exposes character, and character, that's what determines everything when pressure hits. Anybody can rehearse the lines. Anybody can polish the pitch, but who are they when the spotlight's off, when the stakes are high, when nobody's watching? That's what vibe checks reveal, the truth beneath the polish, the heart behind the hustle. We live in a world where people can buy influence, followers, even reviews, but they can't buy energy. Energy don't lie, and energy can't be hidden behind titles or filters. That's why you should never ignore the vibe. If your gut says something's off, believe it, because energy speaks in ways credentials never could. You can't Google someone's intentions. You can't scan a CV for humility, for compassion, for realness. But your intuition, it's a radar for truth if you're brave enough to trust it. Think about the people who impacted your life most. The mentors, the leaders, the friends who showed up when it counted. Were they always the most qualified on paper? Probably not, but their presence carried weight. Their energy made you feel seen, safe, heard, inspired. That wasn't about their resume, it was about their vibe. And if you're honest, there are folks with better credentials who never touched your soul the way those real ones did. That's the difference between performance and presence. Here's the hard truth. Resumes are designed to impress, vibes are designed to express. One is curated, the other is felt. And if you're only hiring, partnering, or trusting based on the paper, you're gonna miss the diamonds disguised in simplicity and fall for the glass that just knows how to shine. In your relationships, in your circle, in your business, stop prioritizing the most polished voice in the room and start paying attention to the one whose energy is steady, clean, grounded. That's where the gold is. So from now on, pay close attention to the vibe, not just in others, but in yourself. What energy are you bringing into rooms? What's your unseen resume? Because long after people forget your job title, they'll remember your presence. Long after the paper gathers dust, your energy will still be echoing in their memory. So forget the scripted version. Show up real, show up right, because in this world of credentials and copies, vibe is the only thing that can't be duplicated. Let's get one thing straight. Life doesn't change from the outside in. It changes from the inside out. You can switch jobs, move cities, change clothes, chase validation, but if your inner energy is still chaotic, fearful, angry, or insecure, your outer world will keep reflecting that turbulence. It's like painting the walls of a house that's crumbling underneath. The illusion might fool the neighbors, but deep down, you know the foundation's cracked. That's why mastering your inner world, your energy, your spirit, your mindset is the first domino to fall. Everything else follows that. Your energy is the frequency you broadcast, and just like a radio station, whatever you tune into, that's what you attract. Tune into scarcity, you'll notice lack everywhere. Tune into anger, conflict follows you like a shadow. But tune into peace, purpose, confidence. The world shifts not because the world changed, but because you did. Your perception sharpens, your opportunities grow. The world mirrors your vibration. That's not philosophy, that's physics. That's alignment in action, but here's the trap. Most people are trying to control the external, hustling harder, chasing people, forcing outcomes without ever checking what's going on inside. They think success comes from strategy. Nah, success flows from alignment. When your mind is clear, when your spirit is steady, when your energy is clean, things come to you. Doors open without force. People feel drawn to you. Situations flow more naturally. Because when you're aligned internally, you stop swimming against the current and start moving with it. You want better outcomes? Start with better inner programming. Feed your spirit. Heal the old wounds. Release what doesn't serve you. Create rituals that regulate your emotions and anchor your soul, because your energy sets the tone for your life. It decides how people treat you. It decides what you tolerate. It decides how you show up when no one's watching. And if your inner world is in chaos, your life will reflect that. Nothing changes out there until something shifts in here. Look around, ever notice how some people seem to glow without saying a word? That's energy mastery. They walk into a room and don't need to speak to be felt. They don't chase attention, attention finds them. That's not luck. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's what happens when your inner energy is strong, clean, and consistent. The kind of energy that doesn't need approval, the kind that's built in silence, the kind that speaks before you even open your mouth. So here's the truth. Mastering your inner energy is the most important work you'll ever do. More than chasing clout, more than building your brand, because when your energy is aligned, you become a magnet. The world responds to you differently. Life flows with less resistance. You start seeing opportunities that were invisible before. And suddenly, everything outside starts changing, not because it changed, but because you did. And that's the real game changer. So now you know. Energy never lies. It's the invisible truth that walks ahead of your words and lingers long after your presence. Perception, that's a costume party, a trick of the light, a stage full of actors playing parts they didn't write. But you weren't made to perform. You were made to radiate. You were made to feel deeply, walk boldly, speak honestly, and vibrate on a level that only the real ones recognize. This world will try to package you. They'll praise your resume, but ignore your integrity. They'll post about your success, but stay silent about your struggle. They'll build their opinions off whispers and photos, but never ask about your journey. But none of that matters, because at the end of the day, when the lights go off and the room empties, all that's left is energy. So here's the call. Don't chase perception. Stand in your power. Don't mold yourself for applause. Move with truth, and never dim your light to make someone else comfortable in their shadow. Because if they can't feel your energy, they were never meant to understand your purpose. Be real, be raw, be rooted, because when your energy is aligned, the world may not see it right away, but one day it'll have no choice but to feel it. Now go out there and be unforgettable.